The X Culture program offers an unparalleled opportunity to truly immerse oneself in the essence of cross cultural communication. To collaborate with students across the globe on a business project for more than around 6 weeks is truly a once in a lifetime experience that taught us the value of effective communication in dealing with people from different cultural backgrounds. Let's all reflect on each other's experiences. Starting off with myself, my X Culture experience was really great. I worked with Bob from the Netherlands, Matthew from the US, and Romain from France. After the first few submissions, I realized that I was the informal leader of the group, usually the one initiating meetings and delegating tasks for each of them. Team members did not really initiate anything until the actual day of the deadline, which made me feel very worried at first. Each of us all had very different time zones, so seeing eye to eye immediately was difficult, and reaching a consensus took around 2 days usually. To address this, in the third week, I initiated that we do weekly checkups through texts and set eternal deadlines to keep us all aligned with our tasks. We came to choose Moss Burger as our company because it was the brand that was most familiar with all of us. We had meetings and all together decided that Thailand was the country where we wanted to strengthen our efforts, considering that there are only 7 stores operating there. Our messaging focused on the Japanese prestige in Southeast Asian cultures like Thailand, and there we highlighted the brand as a premium Japanese fast food burger with high pricing compared to its competitors. Experience the authentic Japanese burger now was our main messaging. And here are some of our marketing materials that we worked on together. In terms of conflict, not much arose, but other than that, we all spoke very good English and could understand each other perfectly. It was really the time differences that was the biggest hurdle to our success overall. Like said, agreeing on internal deadlines posed as the best solution to have organized outputs in time. For our report, I was satisfied with the overall outcome because it was not only complete but also very comprehensive, and it offers very interesting points for Moss Burger to consider. This X Culture experience was truly a very valuable learning experience for me because it allowed me to understand the output quality of international college students, making me realize that Filipino students and schools are surprisingly superior and far better in terms of work ethic. I'm overall very thankful and proud that I have gotten this experience because of this class.
Janina, your group also chose Mossburger? No way! My group also chose Mossburger. But before I get ahead of myself, allow me to introduce my team. So my teammates were Olivia, Caitlin, and lastly, Kat. Kat is actually currently studying in Italy, but she's actually from Slovenia. And luckily for me, my team was more proactive. And although I had to initiate reaching out to everyone to create the group chat, everyone was very responsive afterwards. And we all spoke English, so that was a great help when we were trying to talk to each other. And my teammates were all very conscious about the time zone differences. They were very considerate about me being in the Philippines and Kat being in Italy. So everyone took that into consideration when we were working. So nonetheless, there were some conflicts. At the start of the project, everyone was enthusiastic. However, towards the middle and the end, Caitlin became too busy with her job as a bartender and communicated a lot less with the group. It was my understanding that Caitlin prioritizes her work over exposure because exposure didn't really affect her grades in any way. So there was like no stake for her. Anyway, this caused some sort of tension to appear between her and Olivia, who had like taken the role of the informal team leader by this time. And yeah, if we look at the weekly peer evals, you can clearly see the tipping of the scales happening in real time. But conflicts aside, we still managed to scrap together a very decent report that we were all very happy with. Since Janina already explained the case for Mossburger, I'll just jump straight into our solution. So our solution was to open Moss in France, leveraging their younger generation's high appreciation for Japanese culture. They are the second biggest consumers of Japanese manga, the first being Japan. So, what did I learn overall? I learned that having a cross-cultural and cross-geographical team was surprisingly easy to work with as long as these 3 main points were met. Sure, there was some tension, but everything was submitted on time afterwards. So the first main key point was that we had to share a common language, and for us that was English. And second, it was a leader who took initiative. And for the first half of the project, that was me and Kat. And then afterwards, that was Olivia. Then lastly, there has to be member investment in the project. So if there's no stakes involved for the members, they won't be as enthusiastic.
My team in X Culture also chose Moe's Burger. The members of my group were Mattia from Italy, Patrick from the USA, and Alan, who is also from the USA. First, our team has chosen to focus on expanding moles in Australia for our project. Research suggests that Australia's diverse population presents an opportunity for moles to thrive. Our strategy involves marketing moles in a way that allows consumers to experience the Japanese lifestyle, even outside of Japan. In terms of group dynamics, my team experienced no major conflicts. Initially, I found it challenging to establish a group chat for project communication. However, once set up, we effectively communicated in English. Weekly meetings were sometimes incomplete due to time zone differences and prior commitments. Nonetheless, we managed to align our plans and goals each week by relaying messages through the group chat if someone could not attend. In terms of my personal learning, I found parallels with Janina and Howie's experiences. I took on the role of informal leader, which was unfamiliar to me, requiring constant initiative. Additionally, Mattia and I had to compensate for Patrick and Alan's occasional task shortcomings. Mattia also took the lead at times, particularly when I was occupied with other academic obligations. Despite these challenges, our group managed to produce a decent report.
OMG, my group also chose Mosburger, mainly because my groupmates also shared an interest in Japanese food in general. But wait, let me introduce you all to my groupmates. So Monica is half Japanese, half American, and studies in the United States. Tomas is Spanish and also studies in the United States. And lastly, Antoinetta or Tony is from and studies in the Netherlands. Our team ultimately decided to propose opening up a joint venture or wholly owned subsidiary in London. Honestly though, I was quite hesitant at first, since this will be very new for most, especially since they mainly cater to Asian countries. Nonetheless, my groupmates and I were able to research more on London and found that they have high indulgence, cultural diversity, and are very open to trying new things, especially new cuisines and experiences. Yet in our discussions with regards to deciding where most should ultimately enter, as well as roles and responsibilities, had caused a lot of stress and tension within the group. With different opinions with regards to what direction the group will go for, our groupmates had varying opinions, causing tension. Roles and responsibilities were also unmet, especially with a groupmate or two, specifically Tony and Tomas, being absent, not communicating, not participating, and not fulfilling their duties. This caused great difficulties for me and Monica, especially since I felt like I was leading the team due to the lack of initiative and proactiveness from other members. And for some weird reason, I got a low score for not spoon-feeding them information and the guide to answering. Really confusing. But overall, I was only semi-satisfied with our output, given that I did most of the work and others didn't give any effort for their parts. But I learned that maintaining a good relationship with others may be more important at times, especially when it comes to working in a team, especially with strangers coming from completely different backgrounds. Nonetheless, it is also important to know when to prioritize relationships and work, since networks and connections, as well as good relationships, may also benefit you some way. Lastly, being adaptable is the most important aspect and learning I got from this experience. By learning how to communicate and maintain good relationships with people will allow for little to no conflicts, and may also result in good outputs in the long run, and basically a win-win situation.
My team decided to expand Skillify into emerging markets, with its main workplace being the source of operations. The digital nature of Skillify translates into expansion opportunities not encumbered by the need to determine foreign suppliers, set up new warehouses, or other such physical-based product constraints. We determined that rather than market their products on a product-per-customer basis, the most effective way to viably expand would be through creating touchpoints with schools, universities, and businesses interested in developing their cultural capacities. Another point of growth that we noted was to create viable relations with youth-led organizations with a strong focus on building intercultural relations, such as ISEC. My team, which consisted of Marty, Nate, Joel, and myself, certainly had a lot of passionate, hardworking people in it. Truth be told, however, Joel was starkly less passionate than the rest of us since he wouldn't communicate as actively and would usually only provide bare minimum to slightly below bare minimum quality work. That being said, the strong dynamic between me, Marty, and Nate is ultimately something that greatly aided us in furnishing what I'd like to think is a pretty strong business report and pitch to Skillify. Overall, I had an extremely comfortable experience working with my team, in spite of less than active members. So I was able to develop meaningful relationships since we reached the balance between communicating with each other to ensure that our report was aligned with all of our standards, while also trusting each other's capabilities. We would meet regularly and message regularly as well, and the reason that I attribute for us being able to work quickly and efficiently is because of our clear delineations and our ability to slot well into the roles of our team. We also challenge each other to constantly go above and beyond our standards. Coming out of X Culture, I think that I was certainly able to find new friends in Marty and Nate. One factor that led to this was, of course, having an enjoyable work experience that was conducive to all of our styles. Though I wasn't able to get a video from them, I have 2 messages which were previously shown for their review on me as a team member. The other pivotal factor that played a role in this positive outcome is that we would not just talk about work, but about our interests as well. So I was able to bond with Marty over anime and fashion, and with Nate, we would both talk about the different stocks in our respective countries.